Hello everyone. In this series we pick a present-day issue and discuss it with a globally agile view. If you need a deeper dive into what we mean by that, please watch the video about recontextualization. Today we're going to talk about an article by Nicholas Kristof called "The Biggest Threat to America is America Itself." And you'll see a bunch of panels that show the information that he compiled from a bunch of different sources. Where the United States comes off not as number one, and I'm talking factually, not as number one, but number 28 or more, or worse. Grim, no? The aspect I want to focus on is why we don't regularly take this information into account. Now, Nicholas Kristof doesn't focus on the why. He's busy compiling the information. He does say that we should worry less about others and more about what we do to ourselves. And I'm sure he has a lot more to say on the subject. But let's just launch in. Why can't we, as a public, say to our politicians and other people in positions of power and authority, I know you're busy doing stuff. It might be more interesting for you, but why don't we just get this done? Why don't you focus on driving down, the infant mortality rate? In management, they say you can't manage what you don't measure. Here are the measurements. We don't use them. Why can't we tell power to do that? You always hear the phrase on TV, talk truth to power. Well, how about talking truth to power? Use a measurable KPI and compel performance. Now, I'm going to, if you don't mind, look at four different aspects. One is pride. The second is what I call superpower exceptionalism, a narrative we have about ourselves. Third is the natural tendency for anybody or any organization to reject criticism from the outside. And last but not least, what I call a dysfunctional framework that we have that doesn't fit well in the world as it has become, the globalized world. Pride. I used to use this old phrase, somebody would rather be seen standing in manure than be seen using a shovel. You have the information, but you don't use it. You're more comfortable in a delusional comfort zone. This could be a lot of the reason that we're just acting like humans. Well, governance is about, and self-governance, from a democracy point of view, is about not doing that. Face the facts, deal with the facts, show the discipline, live by the codes, it'd be good advice for anybody. In our circumstance, we're talking about a very wealthy country that is falling short in any number of ways compared to the audience that you have. It's not like nobody else in the world knows this. This is common knowledge, that we talk big, but don't perform so well. And it brings us to superpower exceptionalism. I mean, it's nice to be a superpower. And it's nice to be an historical exception. And frankly, I'm really sick of being told, being treated that way, that if a politician or a person in power doesn't cater to that I'm not going to listen to them. Well, I'm sorry. Superpower is in a multipolar world is not a very good idea. And we were a superpower in 1947 or 48. And for a long series of decades, because the rest of the world was destroyed by World War I and World War II. Now you see all the other countries in the world have come back and come back strong, and they're healthy and prosperous, and this is a good thing. And their rise does not mean our decline. It's a relative thing. You just have to share the world with other people when they're prosperous. And the idea that we need to be a superpower and spend, as Christoph points out, $1.4 trillion a year on redeveloping our nuclear arsenal is kind of ludicrous when we can't afford a good infant mortality rate. The competition is not about, if you want to be competitive, the competition is not about the superpower aspects that we've inherited. I'm not against a military budget, but still, you have to wonder how it fits in national security. And if you read the national security doctrines of the United States military, you find all these factors in there too as very relevant to what national security means. Exceptionalism, we are an exceptional country in the United States. There was a continent, and lots of people went to it, and they started something new, and they started something new with a conscious mind, awareness that it was something new and what they were doing. And it is a great democratic experiment, and making a more perfect union is something that most countries don't get to do. Right, so it's a job we have, and so I do respect the idea of American exceptionalism, but not to the point of blinding myself. Which brings us to criticism from the outside. I mean, it's normal. None of us like when anybody draws attention to our shortcomings. But again, would you rather stand in manure because you don't want to be seen using a shovel? Or do you take that information, right, and fix the issue, fix the reality, right, so that you can honestly and authentically walk around with pride? Now it kind of backs into this dysfunctional framework. If you are still looking at the world from the point of superpower, exceptionalism, and a geographic and economic and demographic isolation of the country, your framework for considering the world is outdated. And if it's outdated, you cannot fit in the world as the world is, as the world has become. And you can't be effective. The very idea that we would not use comparative data, which tells us that 28 other countries that are similar to ours in terms of wealth and market capitalism and things like that we won't use that information to guide our self-management. Why? How does that not fit in our framework? I mean, it's wonderful information. Let's use it. Now, I'm sure there's a lot of other things to say, but I hit four places where I think we can drill down and say we can solve this problem just by changing our mindset and by changing it in the direction of fitting in or matching the world where it went with all these factors of globalization. Well, that's what I have to say about that.